Hi, Kichu. Welcome to Dare to Bear.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's a privilege to have you on this podcast series.
Okay.
I wish to learn a lot from you today, and then I'm sure all the listeners will also pick up a lot of things from you.
Oh, I sure hope so.
Kichu, when I look at you,
Ah,
it's all gray.
yeah,
But when I talk to you,
yeah,
you are like a 14-year-old.
yeah.
How?
One of the greatest compliments people can ever give me is when they say you are behaving like a child. Then I know I'm on track of what I'm doing, you know. So when you ask me the question, how, I think I've never grown, uh, not, let me put it in this way. I've always been curious. I've always been excited. I've always been wanting to explore more and more of what is there. So I think that I still have that curiosity that I had. I don't know whether it was 14, maybe even earlier than that, but that curiosity is still going on. So if you think, that might be the secret of my success.
Wow. And how did you keep that alive?
I actually don't know. Okay. It's just that people excite me. I just love to be with people. Events excite me, technology excites me. And I'm all the time very clear that compared to whatever is there kind of known in the world, I know so little I know, that I'm always saying, okay, let me explore this and let me explore that and let me check that one out. So I think that's the secret. I'm easily excitable.
Wow. So excitement, curiosity, and
Yes.
humility.
Yeah, the humility part, uh, I think I'm always like that. I don't even see it as a characteristic, but it's a way of being, that there is so much to learn from every human being I meet.
Being a happiness and an empowerment coach. This
Yeah.
is what you are giving to people. You're facilitating that for them. So how do you keep yourself humble as a way of being?
No, I truly know that I don't know.
Hmm.
I just know I don't know. Like the other day when you were talking on the research that you're doing on prenatal work, I was just to myself saying, wow, what an exciting field to be in. That's so amazing. So I just say, yeah, this, that, the other, and I get excited.
And that
So
is when you are already doing some bit of that work with your colleague, with Sridhar.
yeah, yeah, but that's like, I know that in the exploration of what makes a person or a human being or whatever it is, there is so little that we know, so little that we know. And every interaction with another person is an opportunity to maybe learn a little bit more. And at the same time, the knowledge that in this lifetime, I'm never going to reach there.
And does it keep you contented? Because knowing that, you'll never get there. With people who think they know everything, nothing's a problem.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
you know you'll never get to everything, does that bring you
yeah.
some bit of discontentment?
With a bit of, I didn't hear that. Say that again, please.
Discontentment.
Content. Yeah, I am contented and curious.
Hmm.
They are both residing side by side, parallel with each other. One doesn't do anything to the other.
And have you always been like that? Because you know what I'm seeing as I'm growing, I don't think I'm growing older, but as something's happening here for sure.
Yeah.
I see at times life challenges do tend
Hmm?
to bring one down. And
Oh, that life's done that enough number of times to me. Okay,
so share
enough number of
with
times.
us. Tell us some bit and tell us what you learned from it. I'm sure everybody would want to know that.
Oh, there was this. I was getting. I appeared for my BSc physics final exam, and I don't know, the subject that I loved the most was mechanics, and in mechanics it was relativity. I loved relativity. Okay, so I sat down for the paper and I froze. A
Okay.
question I could answer at home in 20 minutes. I was sitting with that for 70 minutes. And I don't know, that particular exam was the first time in life. I find it so strange to think of it. I actually had a goal in studies. So far in my studies, I never had goals. Oh, I'll get along. I'll sit through the class, understand, I'll get some marks, and everything will be over. But here I wanted to join a particular college and I froze. So I walked out of the exam and went through the other papers, but I knew that I'm going to fail. Okay, so no question about it. So of course, at that age, you're always hoping some miracle will happen, and you know, you when the results come up, your number will be there that you passed. Well, it was not there. All right, and I was upset, devastated, gone. And I was standing in the balcony of my house and waiting for my father to come back home, crying. Okay. And then my father came back home and he had one look at me and he knew what had happened. He didn't need any explanation or anything from me. He just put his hands down my shoulder and he told me, listen, who you are as a human being has nothing to do with what marks you get in your exam. And I think that, that my worth as a person has nothing to do with what I know, that it's something beyond that. And I think that's what has kept me through enough of the downs I've had in my life. I had my share, no question about it, but I've never let it pull me down in one sense of it. Financial, relationship wise, health, all these things life has thrown at me. Well, okay, theek hai. I'll handle this one also. So that was a significant moment in my life. I'm not what I know. I'm beyond my knowledge.
And the seed that he sowed at that tender age, because back
Yes.
then in college also we were innocent, we didn't know
Yes.
as much as the kids know
No.
today. uh,
No.
so the seed that he sowed at that point,
Hmm?
kept the inner being intact.
Yes. 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 You're putting it
Powerful.
very well. Yeah. Yeah. It kept the inner being intact, and in fact, it helped it grow.
Hmm.
You know. So, and what I do in my life is that's what I want to share with people. That your inner being is more powerful. That's the wrong word. Powerful is not what a being is, but it can tackle anything that happens to you
Hmm.
in the mental, emotional, physical world as such.
With people who have no idea of that inner being,
Yeah.
how do you connect them back to that?
You are a tough questioner.
I don't want to lose this opportunity to start.
How do I connect them back? Uh, as I keep talking to people who are not at their best at the time when they're talking to me, I do my best to connect them back to the times when they were well, when they succeeded, when life was not as bad as it seems today.
Hmm.
And if they get a slight insight or a narrow window into their being, that's enough. That's more than enough. You know, one of my I don't know what to call it, but what I feel about myself is every human being I meet, after they meet me and they go away, they should go feeling a greater sense of themselves than when they came to meet me. That's my life all about.
So it's like you're
And
literally injecting them with, this is your worth, this is your value, get this.
yeah, yeah, get it. Yeah, yeah, but I do it in a, in my early days as a workshop leader, I was rather tough. Okay. But now, as time has moved on, I've become pretty calm and easy about the whole thing. Earlier, I used to take a baseball bat and hit their head and say, why the hell don't you get it? But now I realize that each one is in their own road, and my job is to support them on that road, not about reaching where I think they should reach.
And where are we
So
reaching any which ways? What I have figured out in life is that there is absolutely no destination.
there's absolutely
Destination.
no, there is, but you're right, Jazz. There is no destination, and a lot of people seem to think there is a destination. Yeah, there is. Yeah, but in the beginning, people think there's a destination.
Hmm.
And I think that I want to work with people from where they are
Hmm.
and take them from there.
Hmm.
So if there's a person who's got a goal, I want to have a BMW by 3 years time, and if I were to tell him that, listen, there is no destination, life is all about that, he's going to say, who is this new guru who has come? I've had enough of those. So I learned this very long ago with the forum and the people there, that in order to transform somebody, you've got to get into their condition first, and you can only change it from where they are, not from the outside to make them where you want them to be. That's been my way of doing things.
It's interesting you say that, I'll share a little anecdote here.
Okay.
Since the time lockdown began, my life
uh,
has been super hectic because I've been doing a lot of setting up on modules, lot of talks, lot of webinars, coaching
yeah,
sessions. So it's been pretty packed. So I
yeah.
decided that yesterday I will take a day off.
Okay.
And I went to see a couple of my friends with, of course, the social distancing bit that is on. And
Yeah,
we
yeah.
happened to see the season 4 of this Netflix series called The Good Place.
Mm. Okay.
Now,
Mm.
in The Good Place, to a point wherein the good place, afterlife
Yeah,
place,
yeah,
heaven,
yeah,
everything is good. Of
yeah.
course, because it's heaven. So, whatever people want with mere thinking, it is in their hand.
Okay.
They can take the experience whatever they want.
Mm. Mm.
Now, these set of people, when they arrive to the good place, they figure out
Mm.
that people are just zombies there.
Yeah, yeah.
And they are figuring out what went wrong in heaven because people are wanting to go to heaven once they
Yeah,
die. But here,
yeah,
like zombies, they are not happy.
yeah, yeah.
And then one of the ladies there points
Mm.
out that it is still eternity.
Mm. Mm.
And there is no sense of purpose here.
Yeah, yeah.
If you put an end to the paradise that we are in,
Mm.
suddenly we
Mm.
would be excited.
Mm. Mm.
But if
Mm.
we go on forever, then
Ever. Yeah.
what's the idea? Right? What do I look forward to? Because there are no
Two. Yeah,
challenges.
yeah.
And ironically, in life, when we have challenges, we want to be like, "Bas kar Bhagwan, ab nahi."
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's beautiful when you say that.
No, I was, I do some workshops on goal setting and etc. etc. So there was this young guy, 26, 27, who's working in a large multinational software company, earning quite a lot. So I just asked him, what are your goals for the next so many years? He said, I have no goals. Okay. I'm getting my salary, everything is fine, etc., etc., etc. And there was the CEO, MD of that particular company who had this interesting habit. Whenever I did a workshop, very quietly he'll come and sit at the back. I've never seen it in any other company. If he knows that I'm in the location, I won't even know he's come. He'll come in so quietly and sit down. So this guy was sitting at the back. Okay. Like he's quite a tough guy. So he stood up. We were doing it on the 6th floor of a building. He called this guy. First and foremost, this guy is shocked. CEO is here. Okay. He called this guy and he took him to the window. And he says, you got no goals? I said, no, I got no goals. Good. Go through the window and jump out. Because the day you got no goals, that's it. Everything is over. And this guy was like shocked. Huh? And he said, look, I lived in the US for so many years and I made a goal that's by so and so year, I'm going to settle down back in India. He says, if I didn't make that goal, then like so many people who have this plan, it'll be okay, 2 years more, let my children go, pass this grade, let they pass. And then finally they end up living their entire life there. He says, it's only because I had a goal that I have come back to India and I'm working in India. So I think there's uh, there is one part where you need a goal. Otherwise you will go into, eternity land. Okay. And there's another part that knows that this is just a milestone in a purpose you have in life. So you need a purpose, and the goals are proof that you're there, you're getting along, you're on the right road, you haven't taken a U-turn somewhere.
Just like they keep you in check.
Yes, 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 yes. Because it's easy to drift, no?
You're talking about 26, 27-year-olds. I have quite a few of 19, 20, 21 coming for coaching.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's amazing to see when they talk about relationships. They are
yeah,
now telling me that just I don't want to sleep with every girl.
yeah, 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 yeah,
It's like the awakening that is happening at 18, 19, 20
yeah,
is
yeah.
amazing because they are finding the futility of casual sex,
Yes, yes, yes.
which till about 4, 5 years ago, it was like, you know what, I slept
Oh,
with
yeah.
girls, you know what, this. But suddenly it's all changing.
Yeah, it is, it is, it is.
And people are figuring out that what is my greater good
Yes,
and
yes.
how do I fit my today towards that.
Yeah,
So things are changing, we are evolving.
definitely, definitely. You know, like there are people whom I know. There's this guy, okay, he was working in this software security company, okay, very good at his job, already, in his own words, getting a vulgar salary, okay. And after many years, his wife gave birth to a child, okay. They'd been trying for a long time. The kid was about 2 years old. And then he called me up and he says, I've got this offer for another company, double the vulgar salary he's getting. Okay. And he said, Kichu, I don't know what to do. I just asked him one question. How many days will you be in India in that new role? He said 4 days. Okay. Otherwise, he's going to be traveling, he's a cat in his work. Okay. I didn't say anything. And after about a minute and a half of silence, Because, very often that silence is very difficult. He's waiting for me to say something and I'm just keeping quiet. And he said, I got it. I said, what did you get? He said, watching my daughter grow up is something I'm never going to get again in my life. So, Kichu, I got my answer. I'm going to say no to these guys. So, why I'm saying is there are people today who are saying, no, I want a job that I get back home at 5. I spend time with my wife or my husband, because a lot of women professionals are also very much there today. And they're saying, I want to grow up with my kids. I want to understand my husband, my wife. And it's okay if the money is not that good, but I'd like to have, time to do work with an NGO, time to be with my mother and my parents. So that change, I agree, Jazz, is slowly but surely taking place.
And it's so beautiful to see that, because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
as a child we know all of this,
Mm, mm,
but somewhere
yeah,
in the
yeah,
tick box we forget stuff.
yeah, yeah,
And then for me, I call it a journey back home.
yeah, yeah. And, and I think this COVID has helped a lot in that, because people are reflecting so much. They never had time to reflect before. But sitting at home, they're like, is this what I want to get back to? I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah. Whatever people thought was important because our position was important, going to office, spending 4 hours in traffic, getting a
Yeah,
certain
yeah,
salary, and
yeah.
everything is being questioned.
Yes, everything is being questioned. I'm so happy about that part of it, the reflection part of COVID.
So, I was discussing with my mom the other day, and I was telling her, I said, a spiritual transformation couldn't be gentler. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
with COVID,
beautiful.
yes, we are losing lives, and
Yeah,
it also flips at a point when a loved one, you know, gets
yes, yes,
away. But
yes.
if you look at the data, it just is 2%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
spiritual transformation is so gentle. The
yeah,
cyclones are coming, but people are surviving. We have
yeah,
earthquakes every fourth day here in Delhi, but touch
yeah,
wood, nothing's happening.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's such a gentle way of Earth and the cosmos saying, people,
yeah,
wake
yeah,
up.
yeah.
And people are waking up finally. So these are absolute beautiful times to be.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes.
Let's get back to you. Uh, the
No, it's fun.
the journey of being strong to being
Yeah.
gentle. What was the flip point?
See, one was the flip point which I told you about. Uh, my father's input. Another flip point was that my father died when I was rather young. Okay, I was 24 when he died. Okay, and before he uh, went off on a long flight to 7 cities in India in 9 days, I noticed him pretty stressed out. I'd gone to the airport to drop him, and I asked him. I said, "Something's wrong with you. What's up?" And then he said, "Listen, I'm doing something that goes against my principles and my ethics. But after this is over, I'm going to come back and I'm going to resign." The interesting part was he didn't come back. He died somewhere on the way. Okay. But after, when I took my life on afterwards, I said, I am going to be successful and not stressed. Because I said, I don't want to go there. I don't want to be a part of a corporate. Okay. Of course, I worked for 7 years in different corporates. And then I started off my own little venture 35 years ago. And I ensured that to the best of my ability, that the normal pressures of corporate life are not there in my company. We don't have budgets, we don't have plans, we don't have strategies. I just trust that everyone who's working with me is doing their best to make sure that the company moves forward. So that was, another turning point was that when my father passed away. So I said, okay, this is not the life that I'm supposed to lead. Another big problem with me, Jas, is I can't stay focused on one thing. I need to have multiple areas I'm working on right from the beginning, from my early age itself. When I was in school, they did this vocational test they used to do in those days. I don't know if they do them now. Okay. And I wrote the answers. It's like a psychometric test. And then when I went to the counselor, this guy said, look, I'm finding your answers a little strange. What? Because anything you do, you will be successful. You don't seem to be focused on anything. Oh, okay, fine. So it's like I can't stay focused on one thing. But when I'm focused on that thing, I'm focused on that thing. But you tell me be this for the rest of your life, sorry, please. No. I want to check this out. I want to check that out. That's
Yeah.
why when you said about your research, wow, I wish I was younger and I could get involved in things like that.
Like you are pretty young, and a lot of people, even 1/4 of your age, do not have the curiosity that you do.
Yeah, I know. But that's a DNA, I suspect.
It's very strange when you shared your father's story. I had goosebumps. So I don't know. I did get a little emotional as well, but it's
Sure.
like really my body was reacting to what you said.
Mm-hmm.
I'm I can see how this would have impacted you greatly.
Yeah,
So not focusing on one thing,
yeah,
I can see that.
yeah,
Manufacturing batteries to setting up landmark, being
yeah,
empowerment and happiness coach, having a
yeah,
cafe and an NGO.
yeah, yeah.
My
That
goodness.
is that. No, just once. That is as of today.
But how?
How? See, any enterprise, if you're clear about the fundamentals, that means you treat the people you work with with respect. What you're doing is ethical. It's not going to harm anybody by doing what you're doing. You treat your clients and your uh, employees fairly, no exploitation of anyone. I think you'll get successful in anything that you do. And you're not in a hurry for money. And that's the secret and to follow a dream.
You said it so easily, Kichu. It's not happening like that. People are not getting treated fairly. There is no respect. There is no trust. These are such simple things that we used to hear in childhood as moral stories.
No, but
People have moved far from that. How do you get them back?
I'm borrowing a phrase. Uh, I'm sure you would have listened to it. This guy called Randy Posh. It's called The Last Lecture. When I heard him say it, it was like uh, it resonated with me. When he talks about taking his people who worked with him on his PhD on a trip to Disneyland, people asked him, how could you do it on the little salary you had? And he replies, he says, how could I not do it? And that's very true about me. How can I not be fair? How can I not be nice to people? It's just that for me, there is no alternative.
Yeah, yeah. And the analogy that's coming to my mind, sorry, my mind works so much in metaphors, is that of
Okay?
a juggler. So
Hmm?
it's a
Yeah,
juggler.
a juggler. Okay, okay.
That's
Yeah,
what you are. You're juggling so many balls together and none
yeah,
of it falls down.
yeah, yeah.
And where is your heart really when I talk about an NGO to the empowerment work that you do to manufacturing batteries, the landmark work that you've created yourself now? Where does your heart really lie?
This, I once went by sheer accident into a seminar that was called a networking seminar. You know, there were some IAM profs, etc., who were saying how you should network this, that, and the other. So they were talking nonsense, okay, to be polite. Now, just sitting there quietly, quietly, quietly. And at one point, I couldn't handle it any longer. So I said, look, in order to be an entrepreneur, you've got to have the fire in your belly and a belief in that product that you are doing, you're selling, or you're making, or whatever. So then this guy said, but what about market research and, all that? I said, no, nothing, no market research. It's just that I know this will work. And I said, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. So again, the very intelligent prof turned around and said, so you are a serial entrepreneur. I said, you're putting words into my mouth. I am a parallel entrepreneur. I do all of these together. You know? So we moved from one factory to another factory. And one of my colleagues, he said, listen, Kichu, you're getting a cabin now. I want a cabin. I'll sit, along with everybody. No, 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 no. This is not for you. This is for me. I said, what do you mean for you? He said, if a customer comes to my table and you're sitting next door, next to my table, sometimes you're on the phone, you're talking about a complaint about the sambar at the restaurant. Sometimes you're talking to somebody who's having a problem with his wife or husband. Sometimes you're talking something else about the NGO and what is going on. I want the guy who's sitting in front of me not to get confused which company has he come to. So you please get into a cabin and you do your work there. Because I was always doing all of it uh, in a way at the same time. That's not the right way of saying it, but at the same time. It's like, every one of them when I'm at it is that for me.
So beautifully demonstrated with what you're saying, because that's what I say. When people approach me for a work-life balance, I tell
Yeah.
them, what? Work
What?
is life, life is work. It's the
Yeah.
same thing. What do you want to balance?
Yeah.
How
Work
do
is
you,
life, life is work kind of stuff. Of
exactly. I mean, how can you differentiate? If your wife is not well, will you not pick up the phone at work?
course. Yeah, of course.
And
By the way, even if my wife is well, I always pick up her phone. She is the most important person in my life.
does she know it?
Huh? Of
Does
course she
she
does.
know it?
She, I didn't hear you. Say that again.
I'm saying, does she know it?
Of course she does. Of course she does. Another thing that they didn't mention is uh, one of the biggest problems of the last 2 months of COVID is we haven't gone out on a holiday. Otherwise, together we take at least 6 holidays together. And sometimes she goes off on her own, and I go off on my own. Huh?
How did you come to this understanding?
No, see, there's certain things she loves to do. Okay, like she likes to visit temples and those kind of things. I'm not too fond of that. Till 3 years ago, I used to go motorcycling with a bunch of friends. Okay, and I stopped that a couple of years ago. Some issues with my shoulder. However, last year we went to the Spiti Valley, couple of us in a car and 6 of them on bikes. 12-day trip to the Spiti Valley. Now we are supposed to go now, but let's see, COVID is coming the way. But we are still making plans for January for Sikkim, that area, not just Sikkim, but that area. So I go like that. She goes by herself, and we have a ball. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
This is also a secret to that youth.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, 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 sure.
And what kept you going when it came to the relationship in terms of marriage? Because I see a lot of youngsters now opposing marriage and not
Mm-mm.
wanting to be tied down to one person.
I think it was not even a debate in my life. There was a point when I said, with the work that I was doing, I said, no, 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 no. Getting married is not the right thing to do because it will constrain me, etc., etc., etc. And then I met the right person,
And
and
how
then
did
that
you
was it.
know she was right for
I
you?
don't know even today how did I know. I just knew. I wish there's a pull down menu for that.
As
I
I'm
just
talking, I am realizing I've asked you all the how questions possible.
knew. Only thing, Chad, when you know, you know. It's not in the domain of logic. You just know.
And this domain of knowing, which is beyond the logic,
Yeah.
did you always have it and kept in touch with it, or did it happen somewhere along the line? Were you one of those normal people who wanted to do this, thought the external world was more important, and then came back, or you always kept it alive because of the incidents that you're sharing with your father?
Uh, First, after my father died, the the main thing was earn money. Because he's quite a senior guy in whatever he was doing. So we lived quite a good life of luxury. Okay. And then life was unfair. Why should this happen to me? You know. And I went into sales. I went into this. I went to that. And then I attended the EST training, the precursor to the forum. And I started dreaming again.
Hmm.
Yeah. And that's where the flip took place. This
Hmm.
was 1979. So 74 to 79, I was quite a bitter guy, angry with the world,
Hmm.
angry with my father for dying too early. I used to kind of say to myself, couple of years more, yeah, you could have hung around. I would have been a little more settled. But what the hell, you disappeared off so quickly. But 79, I think there was a rekindling of what was always there. You know? I didn't know this, okay? But very recently, there's one of my cousins who's about 12, 15, 14 years younger to me, who now settled down in the US. And we're just having a call. And he said, you know what, Kichu? You were always concerned. You were always a concerned person. And I said, tell me. No, once the factory his father owned was geared by the trade union people. Okay. And they, didn't let anybody go in, come out, etc., etc., etc. And after that, everything got over and they came over to my house. I was about maybe 17, 18 or so. Okay. And this guy was 8 something. It seems I asked him what was his experience when it was that he couldn't go out, how did he handle it, and what did he feel. And he said, you were the only older person who asked me this. From that time, you were always concerned about others. I didn't even know it. So I said, oh, really? Yeah, okay. So then I was sharing this with one of my other friends who knows a lot of Sanskrit. And she said, that is your prakriti or your nature. I said, oh, I see. I didn't know that. Yeah, but at 16, 17, you're concerned about the feelings of a 7, 8-year-old guy. I don't think is quite normal, but for me, that was normal.
Yeah, one, it's not normal, and
Uh,
second, it's not normal to have it consistently for the last 50 years.
yeah, yeah. As I said, what else? What else to do?
Yeah, because the other side of the world is all about what else to do but to earn money, but to work, but
Yeah, yeah.
this. And here you are saying, I mean, if not empowering people, if not being concerned about them, if not being gentler and helping them come back to themselves, then what
Yeah.
else?
What else?
And way back in 80s, which is like good 40 years now, a little less than 40. How was it
Yeah.
set up a communication workshop post the landmark? You know, on your own, putting in your innovation. Were people ready to buy that? You
No,
know, what did you do?
no, this is very strange. Okay. In I was with the landmark and etc. till 86. And then I shifted my business to Bangalore. Okay. So 86 and 3 years I was setting up my factory. Okay. So then I used to do work through the landmark with a company called Madura Courts. Okay. So that guy called up and he says, we want another workshop. I said, no, no, I'm not with landmark, etc. So I can't do anything. He said, no, they are no longer there now because in between for about 5-6 years they were, nothing happened in India from 86, I think, till about 91. I'm not too sure. So I said, okay, come, I'll do it. So I went to Madurai, did the workshop. And then everything got over. I bought my own ticket, the train from Bangalore to Madurai. After 5-6 days, the guy calls up and says, send me your invoice. I said, what? He said, no, you got to send an invoice. I said, are you telling me that I get paid also for doing stuff that I love to do? He said, yeah. Okay. Another month passed. I didn't send the invoice. He called up again and he said, you haven't sent the invoice. I said, I don't know how much to charge. He says, okay, I'll tell you and you charge that much. So I sent the invoice and charged. And at that time is when I became connected with the NGO. And the NGO was like, it started off with 650 rupees in the bank. And then I conducted this workshop and all the money from the workshop went to the NGO. So even till date, when I do a workshop for the public, the money goes to a cause. I don't make money out of it at all. If corporates want it, then I charge them the money. But nowadays, I don't like doing work for corporates at all. Okay. Uh, I don't know. I mean, there are very few owners who are truly committed to empowering their people. I don't do that any longer. There are some companies, I know the owners, I know them. They really, you know, I remember one large hotel chain. The guy asked me, the HR guy, he said, I want you to empower them, but not so that they leave us and go to the other chain. What I wanted to say was, you think there are some screws in the head, some screws you put right, others you don't touch. But I didn't say anything at that time. I said, yeah, that's interesting. And then he asked me for a date. And I gave them a date 9 months later. No workshop. Good. I now do work only with people whose integrity I'm very sure about.
And what is the drift you think that happened with the corporates? Because I kind of feel in sync with that. And sadly enough, I'm not too excited when it comes to a corporate work.
Yeah.
And everybody around me tells me that, where will the money come from if you don't do the corporate work? And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
fun. But somehow there is nothing happens here for some
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
where do you think is the drift? Because they are all human beings there. What what
Yeah.
happened?
Now, there's another person I work together with sometimes, and he asks the people, do you have human beings in your company or do you have human resources in your company? Okay. So if you've got human resources in your company, we are not interested in doing too much of work. But if you think you've got human beings in your company, then we could make a slight amount of contribution. See, going at a macro level, they all started off, the owners, the founders, with some great vision, and I'm making no, wrong assumptions about that. They started off like that. Somewhere, the profits took over.
Mm. Yeah.
Finally, it was earlier, at least, Jazz, it was year ending.
Mm.
Now it is every quarter. And in some organizations, it's every month.
With COVID, it's every day.
Every day. Oh, okay. You know,
I mean, it's crazy. There's no business, and I've had people call me and tell me that, ma'am, it's so big, such a big problem. Every day they are asking, "Kya dhanda layo?"
ha. And people don't perform under pressure. And that's what corporates do. And most heads of corporates are not owners. They are
Hmm.
paid whatever. And maybe, I won't say all of them, but many of them, if they get a better offer, they just move to that place and implement the same pressure in the other place. So I'm not very enamored with. Again, it's not a blanket statement, okay?
Yeah.
But there are good people still around, okay, who actually don't care about the bottom line, but they want their companies to be, their employees to be empowered, inspired, organized, that kind of stuff. But so that's my answer to your question.
True. Could you tell us about your NGO, what it does? If people want to contribute to that, how can they reach? We want to know about that.
Okay. Mm. It started off on campaigns against child labor. Okay. So we started off doing work in it with, okay. And then we started working with child labor in uh, different sectors like the silk sector, silkworm sector, etc., domestic help, in the building constructions, etc., etc. At some point, we realized that we can do more influencing by attempting to change the law than by attempting to do something at the grassroots level.
Mm.
So the people who are working in there, we kind of created an organization together. And so that over the years, the awareness about child labor has gone up so high in the last 25, 30 years. You actually see building societies which have a board outside, child labor is not allowed here. You have construction sites which say child labor is not allowed in here. And then we move to many things, printing, because we said if we coach young people, street children in printing, they'll get a job. Two-wheeler mechanics, they'll get a job. If they do carpentry, they'll get a job. The interesting thing is, in the NGO, all those units have become independent units. We are no longer funding them. And then about a couple of years ago, we came to a crossroads. What do we do next? This work seems to be done. And then we looked at last mile health connectivity. So the current work that we are doing is, there's a lady, okay, in a village. After getting trained by us, we call that lady a health navigator. She has around 500 to 700 families under her. And she goes around taking their blood pressure, taking their blood sugar level, teaching the women about menstrual hygiene, selling sanitary napkins to them, to the women in the area, etc., etc., so that they are contributing to the health. They have a record of the health. If something happens, they go to the primary health center with the record of what has been happening with this person. And we're now attempting to scale it up to more and more areas inside Karnataka. So that was what the NGO was about. And in its phase when it grew, one was empowerment to the core. What I mean by this is we had kids who would read a AutoCAD drawing before starting off a carpentry piece of work.
Mm.
They would learn how to use CorelDRAW and Adobe Publisher and all those things while formatting a page for printing without going to any class. They were just given the software and say, play with it. You can't screw it up anyway, don't worry. Okay. So now they all become independent. Okay. Uh, Out of this, we saw the issues happening in construction sites and started doing crashes in construction sites. Looked at the schools in rural Karnataka. Why is it children don't want to go to school? What is the root cause in that place? We did a lot of work on getting the village involved in the school. So we used to go and tell them, you have a Gram Panchayat. What about a Shiksha Panchayat? Now you are responsible for the quality. So it is always an organic growth that this NGO Maya was looking at. And we still continue that. It's not that we are the experts from the outside who come from the towns and tell you what you guys should be doing. It's from the inner part of you. And that was, it had the basics of empowerment, inspiring, respect, that was continuing in Maya, and it continues in Maya even today.
And that's so thoughtful that how people will learn on their own if you give them the
Yes. Yeah. But,
time.
their learning curve may be a little longer. They might make more mistakes, but where's the hurry? Where's the fire? Uh,
And the wait is worth it.
yeah, it's worth it. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a website that people can go on to see this, Maya?
Yeah. It is maya.org.
So MAAY
MAMAYA
.org.
.org. That's the website. Yeah.
Okay.
We do a
And
lot of work. Lot of work. Yeah.
and if people want to contact you, where can they contact you?
I'll give you my email ID. It's
Okay.
very simple email ID. tokichu @gmail.com. tokichu @gmail.com. That's my email ID. I am not a fast email responder. Okay. I'm not the IT type who will, I open my mail maybe 3 times a day, if not less. Okay. And, but I will respond. That's the promise.
And I also know that you shy away from the limelight as well.
Yes, yes, yes. I do shy. You somehow convinced me with your intention to agree to this. I think this is the first time I've ever shared so much about myself in public.
I am so grateful to you, Kichu. I can't tell you. I'm so grateful to you.
There
And
is,
uh, sorry, go ahead.
no, there's something about you, okay, that did that.
And I
Thank you so much. Yeah.
heard this entire bit absorbed and assimilated like a little child
Mhm, mhm.
in awe of the stories, experiences of your life that you've shared today.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. I do hope that people find it useful, and especially when they are a little down, they say, no, this too shall pass. Okay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.